Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Randy Swaim joining us here, our pilot, our coach, our amazing man, our friend, our author, our movie star. Really, he is a Marshall Goldsmith certified executive coach, founder of Coaching for Relevance, based out of the Dallas, Texas area, but working worldwide with leaders everywhere. How are you doing today?
Good, doing good. But how are you doing?
I'm good, but I don't know what happened yesterday. I know we were supposed to be on, but then you had to postpone. Was everything okay?
Well, yeah. What it was, and I'll just kind of share this just in a minute or whatever. But uh, when I got up yesterday morning and I was going to go do a couple of quick errands before the show, but my car wouldn't start, and I went,
Oh,
oh boy! And so I called the place where I can take it to get it worked on and stuff, and they connected me to a tow group. And but when we got on the tow group phone call, I told them, I said, but if you can show up here at 2 o'clock, kind of, because their place is close to me, and and all that. And I said, because I'm on a podcast and stuff, so if you'll get it going. Well,
oh,
at noon, 12 o'clock noon, I got a call, and the guy said, "Yeah, I just pulled up in front of you. I went outside, and what happened was it was actually kind of workable because what he, was able to kind of try out before we got it going was to see if the battery was bad, see if he could hook up another battery or something and get the car started." And it seemed to do just fine. So when I took it over there, they had to, just replace the battery more than anything else. And they looked at a lot of stuff and everything. But he got here at noon. So
oh.
I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what. And that's when I called Podcast Business News Network with Ashley there. And I said, that's not what I planned, but they're here. I could get this going. So is there any chance we can just reschedule it maybe tomorrow? And she said, yeah. She said, would 2 o'clock work for you? And I said, absolutely. So that's why we did. Yeah, we just and the car started, so I was able to drive it over there without, getting it towed. And the maintenance folks all worked on it and got replaced the battery, but also, you know, just checked other things on the car, and all's good, and that got all taken care of. But that's why we did this, just because they showed up a lot earlier than I anticipated. So
Ah, all right. Well, I'm so sorry. I'm glad everything's back to normal. Everything went well, right? Yes?
everything went well. Everything's back normal, and I'm here with you today. So that's good. That's good for me. That's what I appreciate.
Good, sweetheart. No problem. Thank you so much. Well, I'm glad you're here and everything's okay. What did you want to discuss for everyone today before we start?
What I would do is throw out a little bit of an idea, and it's an expanded little bit of an idea from what
Okay.
we were talking about last week. You remember last week I was talking about the fact that as you go into the new year,
Mm-hmm.
how are you really getting your people ready, and who are you, and are you doing that right or not, and things of that nature and stuff. And we sort of talked about that last week. But what I thought I would do is add to it a particular sort of insight, and give a little bit of an expanded picture and insight on that for people to think about. So that's what I thought we'd do today.
Perfect. Let's bring it on. Thank you.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do on this is, and it was kind of wild because I was listening to an interview with somebody yesterday, and this guy is a religious person, kind of thing, but he brought out just a picture that was like, yeah, kind of thing, and he brought it out as a faith-based picture. And I'm not going to bring it faith-based here, but when I heard it, I said that is absolutely leadership too, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. No two ways about it, and it is. And so what I thought I would do, and just if I pronounce the guy's name correctly, kind of thing, I think his name was Vladimir Savchuk. Um, but in as he was talking to the people that were interviewing him on TV and everything, he um, he made this subtle point, and he talked about it as God versus the devil kind of thing, but it is so aligned with what I was talking about last week, and that's where I'm going to take it. I'm not going to bring a lot of the you know um, kind of religious aspects or faith-based aspects to it, but it is very key. And as he was talking about it, he was sort of talking about, people in going through their journey. And this is what he said, and this is the subtle quote, but it's very aligned with kind of what I talked about last week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring it to that um, on the insight. But what was interesting on it is he said this. He said that when you're going through your journey, he said, if God is working with you, he's leading you. He said, if the evil one is working with you, he's driving you. And he made this subtle difference between the aspect of leading and driving. And if you think about it, and this is where I'm just going to go back to bring it out of kind of what we were talking about last week too, because it's very aligned. And if you think about it, for anybody that's listening, if you think about, your vision and what you're wanting to accomplish and build in your team and all of that for the new year, when you
Yeah.
go past, January 1st, um, if you do it right, if you do it amazingly well, where
Yeah.
you're truly building your synergy, your team, your people's belief in you, belief in each other, and all of this kind of stuff, magical things can happen, and
Aw.
amazing results can happen when you do that. And the other part of it, which I'll just share with you, like last week I was talking about, if you're if you feel like you're constantly sitting there and pointing fingers and dictating to people and all this, and unfortunately, there's some people out there that do that, and
Yep.
that's not good kind of thing. But if you do that, you're acting as the bad person and you're trying to drive people. You're not leading them. You're trying to drive people because in doing that, you're basically having them shut their brains off and just submit to you, you know. And if that's what your focus is on in the way that I'm
Then you.
driving people, not leading people. And the bottom line on is if you're leading people in such a way that they are growing in their insight, they are really seeing the possibility, and they are truly, truly gaining clarity on, oh, yeah, you know what? Boy, that's a good point. Yeah. And maybe sometimes having clarity on what's some of the unexpected factors may be sneaking on that they didn't see before, kind of thing. And what would we do when we saw that? Um,
Yep.
and how do we minimize the impact of that and really reach our results and get there? And, so many people think that the way to do that is by threatening everybody else. No, it isn't. That's not how you get there. And that is not leadership. It is not how you truly get there. But in making it so that your people, even in tough times, even in, challenging situations, if
Ah,
they truly believe in the team, in you, in the organization, where you're going, what you're seeking to accomplish,
yep.
magical things can happen when you
Like,
do
like good
that.
things.
And you know what?
Yay.
Yeah, that's right. Good things. I mean, reaching results that you didn't expect uh, before. And also, if you look at it where you're letting your CEOs and senior leaders and all that truly believing in your team,
Yeah.
guess what? Magical
Yeah.
things can happen in the future because they realize that you have some insights that nobody saw before, possibly. And so I found it out when I heard him say that. I said, you know what? And that's what I want to just share with people, this simple idea, because that is a key picture of what I was talking about last week, but expands it a little bit. And that is good because, like I said, when uh, uh, when you're the leader, guess what? Are you truly leading or are you driving?
Yeah.
You know what? If you're a sort of a senior manager and you have people working for you, or you have team leaders working for you, do you see them truly leading,
Or,
or do you see them driving? You know what? When you're an employee in there, in your experience with your boss or the person that you're working with, in your experience, do you experience a real leadership role where you're
yeah.
gaining insights that you didn't see before and nobody necessarily told you about them, but they got your thinking going, and in neuroscience, your mental processing going, where you can see clarity on certain things that you didn't see before. And that doesn't happen when you're just dictating or when you're just driving people. Because when you have a manager who's just trying to drive somebody, guess what? All you're doing is trying to have them just shut their brain off and just do what you tell them to do. And there's a degree in that which is very negative and very bad, but it's also a degree of sort of narcissistic arrogance because you're thinking that you're the only one that knows anything about this. Well, you know what? That may not be true.
Yeah. Ah,
And so when you're thinking about it, there's just a lot of aspects about that I was kind of dovetailing out of what I was talking about last week, that when you're going into the next year, in what ways might you have to rethink and uh, uh, reapply your true leadership? Because if you're leading your team, you're actually being a good leader,
yes.
and magical things can happen when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're sitting there just kind of in the aspect where you're just trying to drive them and shut their brains off and just don't even listen to it. And remember last week, I think I mentioned, if there's a time where, you had to, I don't know, go see a doctor for an afternoon or something like that. And during that afternoon, something arose. Was your team able to really work that? And if all you're doing is driving them, you're shutting off their processing, and you're not letting that build to really grow the team
Yeah.
and and gain that insight and gain that vision and the processing ability to understand what is truly the successful solution out of that. And so one of the things that you realize is when if you're the person that's in charge of a certain team, you know what? It's not about you just telling people what to do. And it's not, and people tend to do that sometimes simply because their entire focus is on themselves. If your focus is on the organization and wanting to build the team in such a way that the organizational results are even more than somebody expected, even if you had to go see a doctor in the afternoon or whatever, kind of thing. Um, those are just some things to think about that. And like I said, excuse me, with some of what I talked about last week, this was, like I said, what he mentioned, Vladimir mentioned, was very aligned with that. But you know what? It brought a real good aspect of that because it was very aligned with kind of what I was implying last week and talking about. And so the bottom line is, I just kind of let somebody know that as you're looking at this, particularly when you're talking about, in my
Yeah.
case, an organizational maneuverability concept, where guess what? Not everything out there that you're involved in is totally predictable. And that's what a lot of people in today's world kind of forget. And it's, if all you're doing is going along with, who knows, AI or something like that, where it's just nothing but rote academic pictures, whatever it, might be, and that's all you're thinking about, guess what? You're not preparing. You're not really being ready for and
Yeah.
and I remember one time flying in the F4.
Hmm.
We went out one time, and an examiner came into the squadron when we came back, and this is actually shown a little bit on my movie
Hmm.
documentary that, by the way, is going to be made available to the public in about 3 days. This December 14th, this Sunday, and so that's kind of wild. But in there, I point out that the examiner came in and said, "Boy, he did it. I don't know how he did, but boy, he did it." And sometimes when you're the manager, sometimes that's what you need your people to do. And it's, somebody comes in and said, "Boy, I don't know how you did it, but boy, they did it. They reached it. They made it happen." And it would be great if people came up and shared that with you about your team, kind of thing. And some of it can be things that you kind of built in them, but also that doesn't mean that it's just rote academic stuff. And so the bottom line is, like I say, it's just with some of that stuff that I mentioned last week, and also um, going forward for the next year, is just something that is very central with that. And like I said, when he, mentioned this, that it's either leading or driving. If your whole mindset is only about driving your people and pushing them and just telling them what to do, having them shut their brains off and just do what I tell them to do, that's driving.
Hmm.
And if that's what your
Yep.
focus is on, your success is not really there. It's not just all about you, it's about the team, it's about future development in your organization and in your team. It's about all of that kind of stuff. And but the bottom line is, if your only mindset is about driving, where you're just trying to dictate to people and point fingers at them and threaten them if they don't just do what you say, you're trying to get their brains to shut off and just do what you say. And guess what? Sometimes that might be something where you get a little bit of okay, but you know what? You're shutting off the ability long term. And the long term success, which may
Yeah.
be higher than anybody in the organization realized, may not get there if that's what you're doing. And so the bottom line is, when you're talking about leading, it's a lot better than that. It's about really generating the processing in your people's mind, and gaining clarity on what you're getting there, and also clarity on maybe what some of the unexpected factors are, and what do they need to do. And so all of that, like I say, is a little bit deeper and a little bit further, but it's aligned with what we were talking about last week. That and it's when I heard Vladimir mention that phrase there a little bit, I said, you know what? That's very aligned. And I was going to just share that with them today as well. So the bottom line is, are you spending most of your time truly leading your people?
Yeah.
If all you're doing is dictating to them and telling them what to do and having them just shut up and just,
Mm.
do what I tell you and all that, you're not leading. That's not leading. And so, I just leave it with people, and I know our time is getting close, but I leave it with people. Are you truly leading, or with what he said, are you driving? Driving doesn't really get you there. Now,
Mm.
if you have something like combat situations, in the military or whatever, you may have to kind of drive a little bit,
Yeah.
but in 9.9 times out of 10, kind of thing, nope. driving is not going to get you there. In fact, it's going to shut down your success in some respects because they're shutting their brains off and they're not keeping their situational awareness up. They're not being observant of what they're seeing. And so when you talk about that aspect, like I said, it just takes it one step further from what we were talking about last week. When you look at your team and you think about going into 2026 and you know, kind of what you're going to be looking at, what you're going to be looking, you know, doing.
Yeah.
Are you truly leading your team, building in their processing, building in their clarity and vision and all of that? And also how they're going to make decisions working together in synergy, you know, kind of thing. Or are you just driving by dictating and telling them to just shut up and do what I tell you to and things of that nature and everything? Um, and so it's just when I heard him say that, I said, "Oh, that is so aligned with what we were talking about last week." And but it's true when you're talking about leading. If you're just talking about, you know, dictatorial managing,
Yeah.
you know what? You're driving. If you're talking about true leading, amazing positive results can happen. And in fact, you can also benefit the future of your company because the
Yep.
people grow in the process of it. And so I just thought I'd bring that out because, like I said, it's just it was an interesting thing when I heard that. When I heard that one phrase that he made, I said, you know what? That is so aligned with what we were talking about last week. I'm going to bring it up here because it takes it sort of one step deeper.
Oh my goodness. Well, we still have plenty more time. We got 9 minutes left in the show, sweetheart. So we do have more time to talk
Okay.
about leadership, about the holidays,
Okay.
anything that's
Okay.
important to you. Yes.
What? Yeah. Anything on your mind that you wanted to ask about?
Well, I just love. I want to see your movie. To be honest with you, because I haven't seen that yet. So the big debut is
Yeah.
officially when?
It's coming out on it's supposed to be made available to the public on Sunday, December 14th. And I will tell you this, that people can order a DVD and have it sent to them. Or one of the things that it's my understanding is that they are putting it on, the marketing folks are putting it on Amazon Prime. So so if there's somebody that's on Amazon Prime, you'll be able to go in and look it up and watch it right there and stuff. And my understanding is that Amazon Prime is the group uh, worldwide that is connected with more people than any other platform in the world, kind of thing. And I went, wow, cool. So we'll see. But yeah, it's like I say, this Sunday, December 14th, is when it's supposed to be made available to the public where people can watch it, they can order it, they can have a DVD sent, um, you know, whatever, and do that. So and I'll tell you, everybody that's seen anything about the story, including Hollywood and the director and the marketing people and all that, um, I've been amazed at some of the comments that they've had because a lot of this stuff that I bring even to this show, you know, the podcast business news podcast show and stuff, so much that of what I bring are things that I learned, not because of anybody told me anything,
Yeah.
but because of what I observed. In fact, one of the things that I even mentioned in there, and I think they may have included this in the movie, I think, if I remember correctly, but General Richard B. Myers was he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff from 2001 to 2005, the very
Wow.
first Air Force chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But I flew with him. He was my squadron commander in in the 1980s. And I one of the things that I mentioned in this, and I'll say it. I don't know if he ever hears this or whatever, but um, he is the person. He's the finest leader with which I've ever served, and I've learned so much from him, but not anything about what he said to me what he did and how he did it
Ah,
in working with people and all of that, because a lot of what I bring here is involved with ways that I saw him do stuff. And and that's where I learned a lot and processed and applied it in my journey and everything. And so um, but it's my understanding, it's an amazing story. Anybody that's read my autobiography or is aware of my story
yep.
is really looking forward to this. In fact, one friend here, I will just share it with you here. There's one friend here that we were just chatting, I think about a week ago, and she said she can't wait till it comes out, and she said she is already talking it up to a lot of her friends, kind of thing. Um, that people want to get the movie or watch it and all of that kind of stuff. And the name of the movie, I think is Bring Freedom to Potential. And the subtitle of it is A True Story of Overcoming and Soaring Above the Storms of Life. And
Yeah.
and but so much of what I bring to this show and what I brought with the show with you and I for the last probably 2 years, 2.5 years, um, has been from what I learned in that journey and with, you know, General Myers for one person, but just what I learned and really experienced
Wow.
and brought into reality. And so it just honored to do that. And I so appreciate what the guy said today um, about this, because this is very aligned also on it. So it's seems like it's just getting close, and it seems like it's just uh, a neat time.
Yeah. Well, I love this. You're working hard. You have a lot going on. This is just such a grateful time, I think, in life to give back and let people know that you care.
Hmm.
And I know you do. And you always say this, you're very modest about, hey, reaching out to me, call me, contact me. But really, you can. You can reach out to him and he can guide you in any way. And he's not trying to sell you anything. If you like what he's talking about, obviously, you can work with him, right? But just call, have a conversation.
Hmm.
And that's what he's about. He's an
If they
honorable,
just want to have a
stand-up
chat, I'll
man.
welcome it.
And I love that about you. Thank you, thank you. And we back.
Cool.
Do
Well,
we
I tell you
still
what,
have 2 more weeks before
I
the
totally
holiday?
appreciate.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's about 2 weeks before Christmas. That's right, because today's the 11th and 25th. That's 14 days
Oh my gosh. All right.
thereabouts.
All
So,
right. Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah, but I'll tell you what, I'll just share this with you too, because I know we've been chatting together on podcasts for about, I think, 2.5 years now or something.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I so appreciate you, Jill, and I say so appreciate just who you are and just our time together of chatting on the podcast and everything.
Wow. Well, me too. And I just feel that it's time. I just love we happen to have our own holiday party. I don't have any hats around here. Gotta bring out the holiday gear for our latest shows. Get excited. Gotta wear red again and get back into the holiday spirit. Any plans for the new year? Anything different for you coming up with work, with vacation?
Well, it's usually some vacation time during there because we generally at work we generally close up for like Christmas Eve through New Year's and everything. But but I will say this, that I'm just staying connected to my non-biological great grandkids. One of them is 16 years old now. Well, actually almost 16. One is 15 years now. The other one's 13 years old. And I just love them totally and want to stay just committed and connected to them and all that. And I'll probably get a chance to see them and go spend some time with them and things of that nature. But yeah, just for me, that's going to be largely it. That's going to be it, and that's okay. If somebody else calls and
Yeah.
connects, be
Okay.
glad to. And but just understanding kind of where you are, what's going on, and sort of who you love and everything. So for sure.
Beautiful.
But yeah,
Thank you so
it's
much.
most of my time's going to be right in this area.
Good. Good. Enjoy it. Beautiful weather, right? I mean, right? It's got to be what, 60s,
Yep,
70s?
yep.
God bless.
Yep,
We're
pretty
dealing
much
with the
so.
30s.
And I'll tell you this, I moved. Yep, I moved down here from Niagara Falls, New York, and so I definitely know the difference.
Can't wait to bring my kids there. We've never went, and I
Oh
took my
man.
mom there when she was very sick a few years ago. The Marriott, Fairview Falls, or Falls View, something.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to go back. But not this time of year. We're gonna wait till like spring. Thank you again, Randy. If we want
Yeah,
to
there you
contact
go.
you,
There you
tell
go.
us
There
how.
you go. Oh, okay, it's just if you go to my website, Coaching for Relevance, on the homepage, and you go to the very bottom of it, it has my cell phone number in there, and it also has my email on there where somebody can reach out.
All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day, sweetheart. We'll talk again next week. Enjoy, sweetheart. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I always appreciate it, Jill, and listen, I hope you have a wonderful time, and we'll look forward to chatting next week.
Ditto. Ditto. In the holiday season spirit, we will.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.